Still don't see the live. How is everybody doing? It is such a pleasure to be here with you today. Here's the live. Okay, so let me go ahead and share this, and we were going to get started. Welcome to Self-Love Sundays. As usual, this is a program that is every Sunday, and our purpose is to dive deep into understanding the multidimensional body and its depth, how to use it, how to work it, how to expand it, how to cultivate our life force, and how to tap into the 0 point. Which is the human's most creative state. We're just going to share this, and hello, welcome, Joe. Let me open this for the questions so we can have our questions here. Panama City, welcome, bonsoir, Millie. Okay. Very good. All right, guys. Okay, so we are progressing in our challenge of self-love, and this challenge is multi-platform, which is that we are learning how to meditate and cultivate, and the practices that are being shared in this challenge are specifically in order to implement them into our everyday life as a state of being. And that's one thing that I would love to invite you to do as a result of these videos and these classes and this exercise, that we try not to compartmentalize the meditation practice as something separate from your day, but rather make it something that you are embodying throughout your day. So GPAC, for example, grounding, protecting, co-creating, and aligning with your crown, essentially being a practice of life force cultivation in the when you're running errands, when you're doing things, working on your projects with family and friends, that you are connecting to that awareness, that deep connection. So today I want to talk a little bit about the concept of unconditional love, and what does that actually look like, unconditional love. This is a question that I get a lot in the aspect of healing, and in our world, because we live in a dualistic world, we are seeing the world as dualistic. This is a very specific perception that we have of the world as being something that is separate, you and the other, and then the human is compartmentalizing all of its parts of itself. So we have the light, what we consider to be good, what we consider to be bad. We tend to compartmentalize these parts of ourselves, and we do it very, very subconsciously. We do it in a way that we have very deep belief systems, and we are not really tuning in to the wholeness of ourselves. This is where we start to get lost, and it's one of the largest warfares on our ability to tune into wholeness of the self. If you are, in this matrix, everything is designed to make you feel that you're separate, and that parts of you are good or bad, and that was greatly introduced by religious concepts, in where the design is that there is a God outside of you, or a consciousness outside of you that is greater, that is more wise, that is more spiritual, more loving than you can aspire to be. And oftentimes these groups not really giving the pathway to cultivate that kind of embodiment, that integration in the self as a practical, embodied, deep understanding. So these are things that all the ancient mystery schools talked about, to integrate the self. We talk about the alchemical marriage of our feminine and masculine. The feminine and masculine represents all these dualistic aspects of ourselves that have been created since childhood. Traumas, we adopted perceptions from our parents. We learned how to love, how not to love, how to protect, how to create boundaries, how to survive, all of which are survival programs, survival mechanisms. So the process of cultivating unconditional love, it's not so much as a concept. And I think a lot of the New Age community has adopted unconditional love as a part of their a lingo, without really truly understanding what it is. And there's so much confusion around that. But essentially, to love unconditionally first, the first step is that we love ourselves unconditionally. And really, it's the only step, because you can only control yourself. You can control this vessel. This is what you have the ability to master, this physical vessel. The mastery on the physical vessel is the key to entering into higher dimensional aspects of perception, cultivation, and in your dream state, being able to access and recover the memory, the dormant memory that lies within our field. All these spiritual works are to remember once again who you are, what you are. And it's very difficult to Okay, are we back? Wow, I don't know what that was. Let me figure out what happened here. Everything crashed. Oh my goodness. Are we back to being live again? I don't know. Bear with me, please. If you are seeing this, if you can hear this, I cannot see if you can or not, so I'm not sure if we're live. Nicholas, yes. The screen froze. Yeah, so weird. Hold on a second, please. Let me figure out what is happening here, because this is something new. Oh, okay. Can you guys tell me on YouTube, do you see me? Okay, good. All right, excellent. I think we're back. Okay. Just a little glitch there. All right. Okay, everyone. So yeah, so this is something that becomes very confusing when it comes to unconditional love. But essentially, we are learning how to so when we incarnate into the physical realm, we are experiencing duality. So the perception is that the third dimensional realm is the realm in which we experience creation. Now, what we don't know, what we haven't been told, what we haven't remembered, is that in order to create, the alchemical marriage is required. And again, that alchemical marriage is the integration of your feminine and masculine, your light and your dark, your shadow and your light. And so the human experience in this dimensional plane, one of the things that a lot of these civilizations, these advanced beings, other ET species and advanced civilizations, they experience manifestation on a more, creation on a more immediate, trajectory. Everything is imagined in that moment, and that imagination creates immediately. And communication is telepathic, connection is telepathic. So they are more deeply connected to the network of immediate, and that's the vibrational frequency. It's the dimension in which they exist for us in this realm. And it's important to understand that, because when we compare these states of creation, we understand the value and the beauty of being human. In the earth realm, we can manifest and create things, but there is the organic body that processes these creations. There's biochemical responses. We are a vibrational frequency organism, and we have emotions. Those emotions are a bioelectrical charge that input into the system of creation. And those bioelectrical charges, because this entire network of information in this dimension is a bioelectrical, it's a membrane, and our form becomes manifest within the membrane of this. It's like a neural network. Okay. And so when our physical body comes into manifestation, we temporarily come into a lower density in which we are experiencing the physical realm from our senses. We can feel everything, taste things. We have the illusion of touch, of affecting matter in this way. And it's an illusion because at the very quantum level, we understand we're not really touching, we're not really feeling, we're not really having this relationship with this physical matter is not in the way that we perceive. We're actually, it's almost like we're repelling it, and that magnetic repelling of matter is what causes the sensation of touch, right? So these are things that are important for us to understand, because they really help us understand psychologically, emotionally, energetically, the relationship that we need to take, the real relationship we need to have with matter, with other things around us. We are life force. We are pure life force. How we direct our energy directly creates a projection in our reality. And our energy is made up of our thought forms. It's made up of our emotions that are charges that are inputted into the system. So, these charges that we put into the system, when we're confused and when we're disconnected and when we're not connected to our truth or authenticity, it becomes a very weak, a very dense, and a slow-moving vortex of your multidimensional body. So to come back to what unconditional love is, in this incarnation of the physical body, we are temporarily experiencing matter, the experience of matter. We're temporarily experiencing duality in order to reunify, to learn how to reunify once again ourselves, and to practice the union, this alchemical union within the physical, mind, body, soul. And then in the bigger picture, your soul is temporarily experiencing this in order to once again reunite with the whole as itself. And that's something that is difficult for us to understand, because our lives are, our physical lives, the illusion of the physical lives, the illusion of the events and the experiences that happen, we get completely, hypnotized by those experiences in such a way that we forget the truth of the existence of the nature of our existence. And that is what causes suffering, because essentially that's separation. You are in the process of experiencing, you believe you're separate, your behavior is separate, your creation becomes separate, and any creation that is separate from its pure intention then becomes, convoluted. So this is where we need to gently, the act of self-love is first recognizing this, And second, beginning to reunify all the parts of ourselves that have become separate, that have become compartmentalized, and begin to see yourself as a light, as a life force, as a creative life force. This is how we begin to affect this experience in the human, in the physical realm. So this integration, unconditional love, in order to do that, we have to see ourselves psychologically, emotionally, all the compartmentalized parts of ourselves since the womb until now. We have to understand the integration of those parts of us energetically are what allow you to move your life force in a centripetal manner in this present moment. Okay, so being fully in the present moment is difficult for people that don't do internal shadow work because they are split. And in the present moment, we embody judgmental, subconscious judgmental belief systems about ourselves that are conflicting. Okay, so of course, it becomes very uncomfortable for us to be present in the moment because all these uncomfortable emotions start to come up, all of these things of our environment start to come up. And if we don't reprogram into our subconscious mind that we are unity, that we are one life force. What unity? What do I mean? That all these parts of yourself are absolutely acceptable. They're important. They're an important aspect of yourself that should be integrated. The integration process is number one, to accept your shadow parts, shadow beliefs, shadow thoughts, shadow impulses, shadow desires, to accept them, acknowledge them, accept them. And once you can accept them, you can begin to, because the majority of human suffering is resistance. Okay, so whenever we are resisting what we feel, when we're resisting what we know, when we're resisting our truth, when we're resisting authenticity, that resistance is suffering. Okay, so the definition of suffering is really rather resistance. We are in constant states of resistance with our truth, with our authenticity, and that resistance goes really deep into very sub layers of more collective beliefs subconsciously that are affecting our entire engagement with the world on a much deeper level. So that's something that we need to observe, because we may not realize how strong our belief systems are until they start to express in our relationships, in our family, in our partnerships, our marriages, all of these interactions and these exchanges with the world outside of us. So the integration process, once you have accepted these shadow aspects of yourself, and the acceptance is not an easy process, because the acceptance requires you to look at the darkness of yourself and from a neutral observer, where you can see the truth of how you have arrived at this belief system. And some of that arrival might have been very painful. It might have been traumatic experiences since childhood, traumatic experiences in relationships, in just the way that you feel about yourself, all of which are adopted and repeated from your early childhood. So in our childhood, the reason why it's interesting to revisit that, to find the root of where you are completely repeating these, is so that you can really begin to understand and shift your perception from a victim mentality. Because inherently, when we have trauma, we've stopped our perception in that moment. We stopped growing because we didn't know how to engage with that experience in that moment. So that constant disconnect with what we're experiencing in our environment, this will cause a disassociation with your true self. Now, really, we are the authentic self, the divine self. And we know that when we are born, we know that we are completely connected. We are completely able to channel our source. We are much more familiar with unconditional love, because we haven't built filters of survival and filters of fear. We haven't built those yet. Those filters then later become, survival mechanisms, which are personalities that we wear as masks. So before that, we know that we're learning how to navigate this unconditionality in a very physical world. In a physical world, we have lots of contrasts, lots of other people's emotions, experiences, and the child learns. So we want to come back to that childlike state of innocence, where we are not constantly creating barriers between ourself and our human experience in order to evolve and grow. And to build that resilience, to be able to hold space for uncomfortable experiences and build the resilience of that, that is the actual embodiment of self-love. To be deeply compassionate with your organism, because you understand that when you start to feel these emotions of resistance and rejection, fear, and you come into survival mechanisms biochemically, because so as soon as you are not connected to yourself, so this is really the problem with disconnect from your physical body. The moment you're disconnected from yourself, there's the communication between mind, body, and soul is severed. So if you encounter an experience that is unknown on any level, we don't know how to respond. We don't know how to engage. We don't know how to see ourselves as the fullness of we are. This creates this disconnect. Okay, so immediately it would require a complete reconnection. That's grounding, right? To ground in your body, to come fully into the body, present in the body, feel yourself, and so feel the emotions that are coming up, the fears that are coming up. Acknowledge those fears. So the disassociation and the desensitization of those emotions, the disassociation from your fears, your insecurities, your doubts, your resistance to the present moment, and even your own emotions. This is what we are learning to heal. A person really cannot embody love or compassion for another person in a balanced manner, without truly having taken the time to look at these parts of their subconscious process. So it's really important that we observe how we are relating with our fears, with our insecurities, with our doubts. If we are in constant states of escaping what we know, in our spiritual practice, we're going to have a lot of what they call spiritual bypassing, right? Where we just we focus, and this happens. I see it a lot in the New Age community and spiritual community, that they put all the importance on you have to feel love, okay? But you don't really know what love is. You just know it as an emotion, maybe that you felt towards a cat or a partner, but you don't really know what that love is towards yourself until you actually do this shadow work. Because to love yourself means that you have to love all of you, your imperfections, your insecurities, your fears, the traumas, and the belief systems that those traumas have caused. We would have to fully acknowledge and hold space for those parts of ourselves in order for us to get past the judgment, the compartmentalization, the separation, the resistance of those experiences. You know, the poor body is just it's victimized by our own judgments. It's victimized by our own separations and resistance to those parts, because we are actually the creator of greater states of suffering. And that's something that has come up as a theme this week in healing sessions, that we are actually the ones that affect and create the most trauma for ourselves in our lives. And we do so because we are confused about the true self. We, in this construct, in this world, we are brainwashed to believe that we don't really know. Even as children, we don't know. We don't have wisdom. We don't know anything. We're young. We're immature. We have no experience, right? The experience being the key. But to be human at a very fundamental level, it's actually very simple. The deep connection to your authenticity allows you to know yourself very deeply. If you are authentic with yourself, if you are authentic with all the shadow aspects of yourself, where you resist parts of yourself, this is where the authentic self emerges, and it's effortless. And it's not something that you have to construct. It's not something that you have to heal or reintegrate. It's just there. It exists in you. It's always been you, because that's what we are innately. Innately, we are this manifestation of infinite potential in a physical body, experiencing separation temporarily. And we actually have that encoded in our DNA. We have that encoded in every part of our subconscious mind, until we experience traumas that make us believe in the separation more than that innate truth. So this is what unconditional love, the process of loving unconditionally, don't think about the external yet. We're only talking about unconditional self-love, because that's the only thing that really, really matters. The acceptance of all parts of yourself from that level. And the thing is that unconditional love, a person that loves themselves unconditionally, they're not going to look like what we've been told, like the person that's happy all the time with a smile on their face. Usually the balancing out of these emotional states requires us to look at really, really deep shadows, not only of ourselves, but the collective. So there's kind of like a grounded effect to that, a very grounded effect that is rooted in authentic truth that doesn't have to wear any masks. Okay, so in our society, with etiquette, with socialization, with engineering, we've been modeled to want to behave in certain ways. We have to present in certain ways, mind, body, and soul. Right? We have to present. We have to believe in ourselves in a certain way. We have to express ourselves in a certain way. So all of these belief systems are deeply programmed from a false, disconnected self that is merely surviving, because our model so far has been survival. But to connect truly with the authentic self, it's a very childlike self, innocence, that is holding our space in a powerful manner, in truth, in its full authenticity. And the Tao Te Ching, sorry, not sure how to, the I Ching essentially, is a magnificent way to reprogram a deep understanding of how that actually looks like. And I always listen to that for a reminder, and I invite you to listen to that, so that you can remember once again. It activates a memory of who we are innately. Okay? So let's talk about the integration process of these parts of ourselves. This concept of love, essentially, we've confused it with an emotion. Okay, love is not an emotion; it is a state of being, and that state of being is actually a neutral state emotionally. Okay, love is neutral emotionally. It's not like gushing, hugging, affection. It's not. Those are great expressions when they are authentic, but actually it's a neutral 0 point. From that neutral 0 point emerges a profound joy, because the human subconsciously no longer believes that they are in survival or in danger in their body, with their emotions, or in their environment. So that is actually the true embodiment of love. And it's only from that perspective that's unity consciousness. Unity consciousness is to understand that you are made up of all of these parts, and there is no wrong part to you. There's nothing wrong with you ever. There's nothing wrong with others either, because we are all just learning. So that deep connection to this understanding of being all these parts and its full expression without resistance is actually a very empowering creative state. So the invitation is that as we integrate these parts into ourselves, as we become unconditionally loving to ourselves, we are able to allow the authentic self emerge. Okay, because when we are not unconditionally loving, we want to control everything. We want to control our, our expressions, how we speak, what we think, what we feel, what we don't feel. We want to control everything, and control is one of the biggest illusions of this dimensional plane. To believe that you are controlling anything, essentially, it's something that is a lie to ourselves. The only thing that we can control, and control, we use control in that what we're learning to do is we're learning to quiet the mind, okay, the monkey mind, because the monkey mind wants to judge everything because it's in survival. When we develop this judgmental survival mind, we have to assess our environment constantly, and only when we're in separation can we see, like, do we fit, do we match, are we aligned with this. So this is what we want to learn to cultivate. When we come back into this self that is no longer disassociated with its thoughts, which is beliefs, this is where we can begin to kind of work with these separate compartmentalized aspects of ourselves. And that internal work, that should be the work that we are focusing on right now. Because right now, our human race has a potential timeline split into the organic and the artificial. So what is artificial? It's anything that is in denial of its organic state, anything that's in resistance of its organic state, creates artificial belief systems, artificial emotions, artificial, actions in our life. And so this disconnect from the true self is away from nature. Nature allows its full expression, life, death, the cycles of that life and death to emerge. And that is very much a state of creation, and the only way to create, really, because anything else is actually very difficult, very painful, very in a state of resistance, and manifesting in this world is slowed down. It becomes very stagnant. Okay. So let me open up my presentation. Remember that there are different levels of creating in these dimensions. In this dimensional plane, we operate by the central sun, okay? The central sun in this solar system is the portal way and the connection to other universal systems. The central sun is essentially connected to our heart. The sun designs how we are manifested in the physical, because it's in communication with all the natural systems, the elements of this planet Earth. And we are essentially the combination of all of these natural elements. We have them inside of our body to create our full body. So at the very core level, the human that begins to separate itself from any one of its aspects of itself is what becomes fractalized. And the external world is going to brainwash and make you believe that you are separate from yourself. When we are completely disconnected from our bodies and externalizing out into the world, completely disconnected self, it's very difficult to see truth. And truth is love. What is truth? Truth is authentic, raw expression. It is nature. What is natural? What is natural? What is it's pure, authentic expression. It's that divine order. Nature has a divine order within it. Everything is proceeding by that divine order. It is a symmetrical. It's organized in geometry that creates symmetry. And humanity, when we become disorganized internally, we disrupt that symmetry, that divinity, that order. We begin to invert concepts. And anytime that we manipulate anything or we try to control, again, the word control, anything outside of us, or manipulate it in order to appease very small parts of ourselves, compartmentalized parts of ourselves, this is where we're experiencing major chaos. Chaos, mind, body, and soul. Chaos in the physical body as a result of our disconnected thoughts and emotions. Nature is abiding by a natural order. That order is so complex that we in our technology, we're learning how to mimic that. That's the artificial. The artificial wants to mimic natural order. But in reality, you cannot understand natural order from an external perception. You can't look at natural order from outside and understand it. Absolutely cannot. Natural order can only be experienced in the body. It can only be observed. You can only become aware of that natural order by seeing your authentic fullness. How your organism functions, how your emotions affect your organisms, the very intricate and delicate connection between what you are creating, your thought, your emotions, how they're integrating into the physical body. This natural order is an innate self-organizing mechanism that is guided by these bioelectrical systems. It is expressed through bioelectrical systems. And the organic self at the very cellular level has a divine construct. We are moving light. Okay, so light energy. You are made of light and you are moving light. How you move light through your body will define how you create, how you manifest, how you heal, how you project. If the way that you are moving light through your body is limited, stagnant, compartmentalized, split, this physical body, when it's in states of resistance and blocked, let's say you have all kinds of emotions that are blocking, you don't want to experience, you don't want to feel, life force cannot move through the body here. In the same way that source energy, which is your infinite potential, it is in the third eye, it is your connection to the ether, as they put it here as the ether, but it's the DNA of the earth. Okay, your light, how you move light in the crown, that's the DNA of the earth. And so we open your third eye to be able to see and read and process your ancestral memory, the memory of all that you are. If this physical body is in a constant state of separation dualistically within itself, it is going against the natural order of itself. It is an inversion of nature. And so everything that we perceive as evil is an inversion of nature, because it has manipulated nature in order to meet very limited parts of itself. For example, one of these chakras is speaking louder than the other, like the root chakra, which is survival. Okay, so the survival body takes over. It becomes identified with the ego. The ego begins to employ only that life force through its body, and that becomes its filter of vision, of emotions. and of creation. So, of course, that person is going to suffer a lot because they're out of harmony, they're out of balance with natural order. So, what I mean when I say truth, I am talking about natural order. Truth is natural order. What is true is what is in natural order. So I want you to kind of think about that when you think of yourself in your healing work. You know, when you begin to come across a concept of yourself that you are in resistance to, what is actually natural order? How would you perceive that in a natural order? Is your belief system an expression of a natural order, or is it a resistance to that? So this will help us kind of come back to what is the greater truth, because this natural order is inclusive of all. There is no natural order that does not include all living beings. And the thing about that is that, you see, our perception is so twisted, it's so inverted, it's so confused, it's so upside down, that when we think of death as it's not natural order. Well, it is natural order. And that's something that we have to mature enough to understand. So, for example, when one animal eats another animal in order to survive, that's in harmony, that's balanced. That's balanced. If no animal didn't eat another animal, both animals would die. Okay? So we've become so disconnected from nature that we cannot see these intricate orders, these implicit order that exists within all things. And so in that example, in the self, it would look like this. Psychologically, a traumatic experience as a result of another traumatized person allows growth for both people. And we have to start kind of maturing in the way that we're seeing these things, because again, compartmentalize things, separate things, looking at things as if we are separate, or there's only one way to be good, or there's only one way to be bad, is the cause of suffering in your mind and in the collective mind. If we want to be able to discern correctly, we have to be discerning from the pool of natural order. Because if we discern from a place that is confused and disconnected, how can you love anything? How can you see truth? Unconditional love means to be in alignment with nature. Unconditional love means to be in alignment with natural order, with truth. That is what's truth. And in DNA reprogramming, when I'm working with you, what we are looking at is how do we come back to natural order from whatever life experience you've had, whatever trauma, whatever difficulty, whatever thing you hate about yourself, whatever you reject about yourself. How can we come back to natural order? Things become very simple very quickly, because what you realize is that you cannot resist what is there. Why would you resist what is there as a part of you? And this is where you also begin to understand karma. What is karma? Simply cause and effect. Everything has a cause and effect. One traumatized person is a product of another traumatized person. What we call evil, what we call wrong, unjust, damaging, is a product of damaging. If that person knew anything other than damaging, if that person knew anything other than trauma, if that person knew anything other than hate, judgment, separation, they would not enact that. Humans are all operating from their perception, which they cultivate and they develop, they strengthen. The question is, what perception are you developing? In this current timeline where we have so many things that try to polarize you, compartmentalize you, separate you from natural order, how are you able to know what is truly loving and what is not? To love is to be able to see all things as a part of yourself, because they are. That is natural order. That is the highest truth. If it's you and a serial killer, you and a murderer, you and a abuser of any kind, we are one. This is the first step to understanding unity, consciousness, and natural order. And when we hear that, it's like, we're like, oh my God, no, I am not that. I don't want to touch that. That's not me. But guess what? The same belief systems that made and allowed that person to behave in the way that they're behaving are the same insecurities, fears, internal doubts, disconnect from the source that we are all learning to integrate. So we are not separate. We are all mirrors of each other. And we are all learning how to become one inside of ourselves. How to unify the shameful part that was abused, and then at the same time have confusing feelings of enjoyment. Killing a little animal as a child, squishing a worm. That was fun, squishing a worm. Mm-hmm. So we have these conflicting belief systems because in this world, we want to cut off natural order. We want to compartmentalize everything. So that is the biggest split and the biggest warfare psychologically on humanity, to make humanity believe that they are not natural in their expression. When you allow humanity to come back to this natural order, they can stop creating internal wars inside of themselves, and they can then stop experiencing hate and fear and separation with everything outside of itself. Also, you won't be able to understand the very subtle effects that artificial things have on your body until you are connected to that natural order. So this is where, when we talk about maturing in a way that we can connect with our highest expression, with natural order, the way that we exist on this planet begins to change. And we are so good at identifying with personalities, identifying with concepts, belief systems, ideas, and we believe we're doing such amazing work in this world, pushing what we believe is quote unquote good, when in reality, to be loving is to be completely inclusive of all parts. So then you begin to notice that unconditional love, from the perception that you begin to accept all parts of yourself, that's actually when you can change things. You won't know what to change in yourself until you accept all parts of yourself. The one that wants to squish the worm as a child. Oh, it's all fun and games. You're just young, you're immature, you're just having fun. You don't understand the consequence. But we all have the one that wants to squish the worm inside of us when we start to feel separation or resistance or any emotion, anger, hate. And because we're so disassociated with what those emotions actually mean for us, we immediately think survival. Red flag. Let me come into protection state. So majority of humanity is existing in states of contraction. They contract their creative life force. How do you control an entire human race? You keep them in a contracted state of creation, so they cannot create outside the boundaries of what is controllable. This is the indoctrination that we are learning to alchemize. When we begin to truly connect to our authentic self, we can then begin to discern what we want to change, how it's going to change. Because the majority of humans, and this is speaking from working with hundreds of people on a daily basis, right? I mean, not hundreds in a day, but 100 over time. Um, we are learning every day in my sessions. People are discovering parts of themselves, but then they don't know how to actually embody this love. They feel peace for 5 minutes, but they can't sustain that peace because we have such deep internal conflicts and because we are addicted to survival. Survival is a biochemical addiction. And it's rooted in fear, in adrenaline, in all of the cortisol that we're creating in the body, all the chemicals that we create in order to believe that we're doing something. We're busy being proactive. If we're stressed out, if we're angry, if we have strong emotions, strong opinions, strong definitions, strong resistance, we're doing something. You're doing nothing. You're doing nothing. You're doing absolutely nothing. And here's why. Because creation for humanity is only from a place of neutral, unconditional love. It's that 0 point from which unconditional love emerges, in where you are aligned to natural order so that your actions are mindful, grounded, connected, and in truthful. Again, truth being in harmony with nature, aligned with natural order. The human that is disconnected from their own emotions or tries to compartmentalize emotions can never really know what is truthfully harmonious. So this is why I deeply, deeply urge and invite humanity at this time to come back to a quiet place where we can start to come back into this organized, self-organized order. Number one, grounding, learning to clear your energy body from emotions, healing trauma to begin to integrate and expand your perception from victim into more awareness. At the very least, we want to come in here. As you can see, when you are in a state of pure awareness, you can observe truth. Natural order allows you to control energy, life force, emotional energy, creative energy, your biochemistry, bioelectricity of the body. What happens when you become more conductive in your body bioelectrically? You begin to expand the range of frequencies you can process through your body, which allows you to see beyond the vision of regular humans. When we activate the higher vision, higher knowing, higher discernment, higher intuition, now, and the thing with intuition is all of you are intuitive. But if you're coming from the place of this separation, your intuition is going to be skewed. Intuition is very quiet. It's very quiet. It's very calm. It's immediate. It's instant, and it's not coming from a place of survival. So that's when you can tune into true timelines. You can actually see things that are potentially true for humanity. But we are all have filters on some level because we're human, and that's okay, right? So when you deincarnate, that's when you're really going to see everything clearly, all timelines available for you when you deincarnate. But while you're in the body, we're always going to have some little level of a filter, but not to the extent that it's damaging for yourself or for others. So this is where we become our own healer, our own seer. Okay, so let's get into the meditation. Go ahead and allow yourself to come into a state of complete relaxation. Come into your body. Go ahead and drop into the body. Ground yourself down to the center of the earth. And quiet your mind. Pay attention to the stillness of your body. Go ahead and close your first chakra, second and third. Expand your heart, your throat, your third eye. Go ahead and see yourself inside of your bubble. Bring your awareness to your energetic body. Let's go ahead and start our weekly energetic hygiene. Go ahead and clear the 13 layers of your body. And as you clear the 13 layers of your body, breathing deeply down to the base of your spine. Go ahead and bring green life force from the center of the earth now. You're going to pull it up your feet, into your legs, into the solar plexus, creating a vortex of energy. From source, go ahead and pull down a powerful wave of cosmic energy down through the crown of your head, combining with the green earth energy at your center core. Go ahead and take 10% of this combination back down to the center of the earth. Clear any emotions and thoughts out of your body. Go ahead and take 80% of that combination up your spine from the crown of your head, coating the outside of your body. Cutting cords with people, places, and things that you have left your energy with in this past week. And as you inhale deeply, bring your life force back into your body. Go ahead and take that final 10% of green and gold and bring it into your body now, into the cells, the muscles, the nervous system. Gently bringing your body into that natural flow state of life force. Just go ahead and observe yourself. I want you to begin to tap into yourself in the past week where you were not unconditionally loving towards yourself, where you rejected parts of yourself, split yourself in half, your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs about yourself. As you allow yourself to observe, take a look and see what is the strongest emotion that comes up when you are not loving towards yourself. Observe in your body the emotion that comes up the most. Go ahead and select the strongest of those emotions. And as you are completely present with this emotion, notice what comes up. Go ahead and select the strongest of these emotions, and I want you to notice how familiar are you with this emotion. Go ahead and allow yourself to take yourself all the way back to the very first time that you felt this emotion in your life. Take a look at yourself in that moment. I want you to observe the emotions that you're feeling in this memory. As you are completely present with these emotions, notice the strongest ones. What is it that you need from your environment, whether it's people or an environment itself? If you could have anything, what would you need in order to not feel this way, this emotion, this trigger? It's important to acknowledge what your needs are so you understand why you arrive at this emotion and how to transmute it. And just observe what you need from yourself now as you begin to notice. You kind of want to look at the cause and effect patterns that go down the lineages of these participants. Is this a pattern and a belief system that's been passing down the generations? Is it rooted in truth? And is it really your core essence to repeat this belief system? And go back to yourself and observe, what is it that you need from yourself? If you could give yourself absolutely anything in that moment in order to transmute this belief, what would you need from yourself? Take a look and see if there is an ego self that is in resistance with what is needed or that wants to deny what is needed. And just observe this little ego part. Usually the ego is the one that wants to control or wants to resist or reject or be separate from. The soul is, again, all-knowing and in alignment with harmony in its full expression. So just observe the contrast of these two parts of yourself. This is how we become split. This is where the splitting occurs. Just notice, what do each need in order to come into its integration of both? What do they need to come into oneness? These parts of you. What do they need in order to no longer suffer, to feel fearful, to feel unsafe, to feel victimized or in danger? And go ahead and allow these fractals of yourself as you begin to see how you repeated this pattern in your own life. How has it affected you in your own life? Go and integrate these fractals in yourself as you begin to allow them to come into harmony, into right order. Holding space for any resistance. And see all parts of yourself integrating into one self now. And as you begin to shift your perception, you will change the tension in your body. You will change the resistance, the rejection in the body. Any pain in the body that's connected to this belief system will also decrease. Allow yourself to inhale deeply, taking it back into your body. Very good. As you allow yourself to integrate all these parts, go ahead and clear your body. First, we're going to work on the root chakra at the base of the spine. Go ahead and release all the programs that don't allow you to love and accept all parts of yourself in the root chakra. All fears, insecurities, doubts. See those blockages in your body and imagine that you are dissolving them with your crown chakra. All the contractual agreements that you have made in order to believe that you are separate or not enough, or whatever self-rejecting, self-compartmentalizing beliefs that you're holding on to. Become aware of them and observe the contractual agreement that you have with them, you've made with them. Let's go up into the sacral. Go ahead and see all the contractual agreements that hinder you from embodying unconditional self-love. Go up into the solar plexus, same thing. All of the emotions and belief systems that hinder you from embodying unconditional self-love. Go up into the heart. Go up into the throat. And go up into the third eye. Cleared from the heart. Now we're going to go up into the crown again. Go ahead and fill your crown with your creative color. You're going to shine it on top of all your karmic contracts and eliminate them. And fill that room with your creative color. Now we're going to activate the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And above you is a powerful white light of source. Go ahead and bring that white source light down into your body, down to the perineum and the heart, down into the center of the earth. As you anchor yourself into the earth, activate the chakra underneath your feet. Three, two, one. Very good. Go ahead and bring yourself back into the room. And I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. It was an honor to hold space with you. And if you guys have questions, please put them in the chat. I see all your incredible questions here, comments. Thank you so much, guys. Karen, thank you so much for that generous super chat. Divine Soul, thank you. Deep love to you. Thank you so much. Really, your super chats help me tremendously. I'm just looking for questions in the chat that you might have, and those are going to be put in capital letters. Suzette, thank you so much. Brett says, how can we discern and trust our progress of deincarnation from desire for change and an overcompensating subconscious ego that can easily wear many masks? What does true progress look like? Well, I mean, we're so used to thinking of progress, but in reality, when you're in natural order, you're just in harmony with yourself and with all things. Just to accomplish that in itself, that harmonious, peaceful state of being, if you are peaceful, like real peace that emerges from your choices that you are making, have made, your actions that you're doing and are making, the words that you're speaking and are speaking, that level of harmony and peace internally, if you can just accomplish that and sustain existing in that, this is how we begin to affect change collectively, because you begin to process more light through your body bioelectrically, geometrically. And, you know, for you to embody that peace, it means that you have done a lot of ancestral work with this. You're no longer repeating the karmas and the pains, the suffering, belief systems from your ancestral history. That in itself is healing for this planet Earth, because we're cleaning up all of that repeated suffering that we keep anchoring back into the bloodline through our own experience. So that's like true compassion. It's true self-compassion. So I would say that if you are able to sustain that state of harmony internally, that peace, this is how we can actually make change. So the goal is not deincarnation, right? I mean, you know, we're going to leave this body when we're done here, according to our contractual agreements. So, you know, you will deincarnate when you're ready. But yeah, so whatever it is that you are desiring, check into your desires. Where are those desires for change coming from? Do they come from a resistance to your authentic self, a resistance to peace, a resistance to harmony? Do they come from a resistance to your own truth, or the truth of the world? So remember, when we're looking at the outside world, we might want to judge what we see outside, and we want to change it into something perceptually good. But again, what we want to know is what is in harmony, in alignment with all living things. And that's not something that we're going to do. It's something that we have to be. We have to become that harmony. From there, we change the outside world. Because in this planet Earth of consciousness, humans are the cells of this organism of consciousness. The Earth is another living being that is also evolving. And we, the cells, are communicating to this planet Earth in its evolutionary process. So if you as a cell are sick, mind, body, and soul, or conflicted, or in pain, or in denial, or in suffering, or in resistance, you know, through your cell, it's like you become a cancer, you become a parasite to the own organism. So to open those channels, come into your authentic self, you're becoming a conduit of healing for the planet Earth through your existence. That's natural order. That's the highest natural order. And we're gonna recognize that change because in your community, in your circle of friends, you now become a beacon. Um, and when I say beacon of light, I mean that like literally you are processing more light in your body, but psychologically you are a reminder and you are a mirror for internal peace and harmony in others. Okay, so your presence becomes an example. That is the most shifting, alchemizing effect we can have immediately in our environment. Nikki, thank you. Much love to you. Luke, thank you so much, Luke. It's such a pleasure. Thank you. Barna, love you. Joanne, thank you so much for that super chat. Love you. Thank you so much. Uh, Philip, great to see you. Why is it easier to access higher chakras through my solar plexus versus going through the crown? Is it the same thing? Does that make sense? Does it matter where we're expanding our from? So right now your perception is coming from the solar plexus. So we have to learn how to clean that up and clear it up. You can't access the higher chakras from your solar plexus. So I'm not really sure what you mean. If you mean that when you expand your solar plexus, you can expand higher chakras, clarify that for me. So each one of the chakra bodies, so when we clear up the first three chakras, they become a really grounded, secure force inside of our body. We feel safe, we feel grounded, we feel peaceful. And that allows you to cultivate higher faculties. So you are able to love unconditionally, you can speak your truth without fear, you can see, your vision becomes clear, and therefore in dream state, you can begin to navigate higher dimensions. Okay, so I hope that is clear. All right, my loves, thank you so much. Those of you that joined me in the Zoom, God bless you. When I had my out-of-body experience, I was able to tell it where to go. Excellent. Yeah, that's amazing, Nicholas. Johan, thank you so much for joining me. It's such a pleasure, and I will see you soon. Oh, and don't forget, tomorrow is Disclosure Conference. It's a really huge, wonderful conference that we have, and I invite you to join me for that one. All right. All my love. See you soon. Bye-bye.